Guys, this is Anthony. Today we're playing another 15-10 game on Lichess. So we are playing the black side of the French defense, and white goes for the advanced variation. So let's push c5. I expect c3, and I'm trying to remember my theory, but knight c6 looks correct. Knight c6, bishop b5. I think bishop d7. So I think queen b6 is a move. Other knight out could be a move, but yeah, let's go with bishop d7. Maybe now queen b6. Yeah, I think white's going to castle. So yeah, queen b6. Okay. So they're going queen b3. Queen takes, a takes. Don't see an advantage there. Looking at c4. Queen takes, a takes. That could be interesting. Pawn takes. What about c takes d4? C takes d4. This pawn is underdefended. C takes. Knight takes. So I do like c takes d4. And if queen takes, a takes. My structure is a little busted up. So yeah, let's go queen takes. And then c takes d4 afterwards. And maybe I could press on these doubled b pawns. So yeah, queen b3 is a little annoying. I'd rather keep queens on board. But yeah, with the resulting pawn structures, maybe black can claim a small edge. So knight takes d4, there's knight takes e5. Knight takes e5 looks okay. And it does come with tempo, which is nice. Yeah, we're threatening the loose bishop on d3. Yeah, so what are the plans here? I do want to get developed. I want to discourage c4, but how could I reasonably do that? So there's bishop c5. Bishop c5, bishop e3. Yeah, bishop c5. Just checking for tactics. I have some loose pieces here. On bishop e3, I can't play the rook over. Yeah, rook c8 would be a nice coordinating move. So I have bishop takes knight. And c takes d4. And then knight c5 or even knight g6. Yeah, and it's a blunder if after bishop takes d4, bishop takes e5, I can recapture. So yeah, let's do that. So knight c6 comes with tempo, and I do threaten to possibly go into b4. Yeah, knight b4 may be a little annoying. Yeah, knight c6. If castles, I am picking up another pawn. Castles, knight takes d4, bishop e3. Knight b. So on knight b4, castles. Hmm. So I think knight e7 with the idea of knight f5 looks fine. Yes, knight b4 I like, except after castles. Yeah, I just don't see a good follow-up. So I probably want to castle myself. So knight f5. Is that a little too greedy? How can they save that pawn? They have knight b4. I mean, they have knight b5, a6, knight over, which is a little annoying. But if my knight's on f5, yeah, so knight f5, knight b5, a6. I think the knight just has to retreat. What are ways that white can defend this d4 pawn? We have rook d1, which doesn't look very nice. Yeah, knight f5. So white does have the bishop pair. I would say black is slightly better, just up a pawn with a better pawn structure. Yeah, so knight b5. Uh, okay, so I forgot on a6. There's knight c7. Knight c7. Okay. So what if I castle? Yeah, castling looks good. This a7 pawn, it's a little vulnerable, but it is adequately covered at this point. So I'm looking at a6, knight c7, which would just get their knight trapped with rook c8. So yeah, a6 is coming. So like knight b4 might be good in some instances. But yeah, the threat right now is um, just this other pawn. What about knight b4 now, or a6? Because knight b4 does threaten knight c2. Let's go knight b4. Hmm. Maybe let's kick the knight out first. Yeah, if I leave this knight here, it may be pressuring my a7 pawn for no reason. So on knight c3, we're going to jump in with our knight. Yeah, and this way, I think this order of operations is correct because if I didn't do a6, let's say I played knight b4 and I did get knight c2 in, I might be able to win another pawn, but yeah, white gets knight d6 in, and yeah, why even allow that annoying counterplay? Hmm. So I like knight b4, rook c8, knight c2 just looks very strong. Yeah, so we're targeting the dark square bishop and also the pawn on d4. Trying to look for a defense for white. Hmm. Okay, so this knight coming in just looks a little more stable, and it also covers bishop d6. So I like that. So yeah, let's take the second pawn. Let's remove the recapture just in case, but yeah, we do have a threat right now. Knight captures e2, check. Or, yeah, not actually. The bishop's actually defended. Um, so we are threatening the b3 pawn. So yeah, the position looks nice. Um, um, just trying to think what counterplay white has. Hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty good move. So if knight takes b3, bishop takes, e takes. We do have a pawn hanging at the end. Okay, okay. Bishop b5, there's knight takes, e takes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Rook ac8. Just looking at knight b3, bishop takes, pawn takes. Yeah, I just want to eliminate all counterplay. Um, so yeah, rook ac8 looks correct. So bishop takes, knight takes. There were some discoveries if I played something like knight e7, there's bishop takes h7 check, and my loose knight falls. What about g4? Yeah, I am noticing my position's a little shaky right now. Wonder if I could get away with playing e5, but that doesn't work. E5, bishop takes e5. Hmm. Thinking about g4, maybe knight h4. And that actually does protect this knight. So on g4, knight h4, bishop h7, king h7, rook takes d4, I have knight f3 at the end. So, okay, maybe g6, g6. Hmm. G6 is a move. Maybe rook. No, rook c5 would be a blunder. To bishop e6. But there's knight takes bishop. Hmm. Yeah, there are just some lines where this pawn on e5, d5, sorry, is a little loose. G6 doesn't look like the right move. Just weakens up my dark squares. There's knight b5. But on bishop takes b5. Bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, a takes b. Oh, is that working? Knight b5. Yeah, I saw this line, but knight h4. What about knight f3 now? Does that do anything? No. Knight h4. And bishop h7, king h7. White maybe missing knight f3. So yeah, knight b3 is a threat now. And okay, white resigns. A little premature, I think. But let's add this to the analysis board and take a quick look through this. So yeah, we played against J. Rod Robb in 1937. Let me just open the master's database. We have advanced variation. So c5 is the top move, knight c6, bishop d7. So c captures is the top move. This is called the Uve variation. Okay, so queen b3. Knight takes. Yeah, it just drops a pawn. Okay. So let's just refresh the memory. We want to take the pawn. And after pawn takes queen b6, queen b3, knight takes. Because after queen takes, we have knight f3 with check. Okay. So let's add that to the mental database. So instead we play queen b6. Is that anywhere here? No, it's nowhere in the master's database. So yeah, I was looking at some variations. After c takes, queen takes, a takes. Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about any of these structures. So I went for the trade, and I saw afterwards that I was disrupting white's pawn structures. So they went for c takes d4, which I think is the better move. Um, yeah, it's actually interesting what to play here. Knight b4. And this doesn't look bad for black. I would say black is slightly better. Yeah, seems about right. Okay, so white took with the knight, which just lost the pawn. This capture comes with tempo on the light square bishop. So yeah, takes. This would be a blunder. So this move did surprise me. I didn't see bishop f4, which attacks my loose knight. But yeah, I was happy with this move because I didn't have to worry about c4. Sorry, c4 anymore. Just a little case of the burps. Yeah, I retreated my knight here. I looked at knight g6 briefly. It does come with tempo on the dark square bishop, but yeah, I think my knight just has more center control from c6. The downside is it does block in my light square bishop. But yeah, it comes with tempo, and I had a plan of bringing my other knight in. And originally, I just planned a6, but yeah, this would be a blunder because of knight c7. So I'm glad I noticed that. So I just castled. Another move I was thinking about was knight b4. And if castles, take, take. Yeah, that's a point I didn't notice. Yeah, this knight was actually defending the d4 pawn. Okay, so it's a little removal of the guard tactic. Yeah, there were a lot of weak squares for white. I was just able to penetrate the position. Hmm. Here, when I played this capture, I thought this bishop was free. I didn't realize the knight was protecting it. I'm looking at this pawn structure, looking at the other knight recapture, but yeah, this just looks very shaky. So I took with the c knight, and I had a long think here, almost 2 minutes. Because yeah, I saw knight takes b3. mean, maybe I had bishop e6. I don't dislike this position. Yeah, maybe this wasn't that bad. So I misevaluated the position though. So I'm up 2 pawns here. After this captures, I thought I was only going to be up 1 pawn. But yeah, I forgot I won this b3 pawn in all the flurry of exchanges there. Okay, so maybe knight takes b3 wasn't so bad. So knight takes b3. Yeah, just slightly better. Okay, so they play g4. Um, and I did calculate this. So let me just add this variation in here. Force variation. So I saw king takes, rook takes, knight f3. And this should decide the game. Yeah, black's going to be up 2 pawns and the exchange. Is that right? Two, two. No, black's going to be up a rook. Yeah, because they sacrificed a piece. Okay, so this game was short, felt like a miniature. I think the resignation was definitely premature, but I'm glad to get a W. So right now we are on a small skid, but we are fighting our way back. We're back to 1938. So what is that? 62 more points until we hit 2000. Okay, guys, thanks for sticking around. I'll see everyone tomorrow.